Welcome to Hollywood Unreel, the Insiders Podcast, where we'll rip down the velvet ropes, kick over the director's chairs, and tell you what's really going on deep behind the scenes in the film and TV production industry. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Hollywood was once the epicenter of a historic community where the most talented filmmakers and crews have thrived. Now, feature films and TV shows have disappeared to any back alley that offers a tax incentive and a decent breakfast burrito. Runaway Production, new media, Hollywood Retraction, and labor strikes are the new dirty words of Hollywood. Hosted by industry veterans Romeo Carey, Mike Risoli, and featuring Michael Keogh. Get your popcorn ready. This is Hollywood Unreel.
3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are for our first podcast of the Unreel Hollywood take. These are two Hollywood, really, veterans, weaved in our travels. I'm really a form of the past in terms of my father being in Hollywood, but I got to watch it and grow up in it. And then I have, so I'm Romeo Carey, the son of actor, director, producer, thespian extraordinaire, Timothy Carey. And this is Rocco Risoli, who's a filmmaker.
Michael Risoli.
I mean, sorry. I just called him his son. I have affinity to Rocco because that's one of my great grandfather's names.
Uh-huh.
But
And didn't your dad play a role called Rocco?
oh, he's played Rocco. Yeah, he'll change the script and cross out the name and put the name he wants. That's usually what he does, and he'll change all the dialogue. But this is Rocco Risoli, who's really had
also known as Michael Risoli.
Oh God, I'm gonna get
Thanks,
this
Robbie.
right. Take I'm better on take 3. Do you wait? No. I look. You fall, you slip, you fall, you bleed, you get up. That's life. There's no reason to start over.
No.
You just keep going.
And this is
it's
our
like,
pilot episode.
So, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't see anything wrong with anything I've done. Neither should anybody else.
And that's what this is about. We're just talking.
Yeah, exactly.
It's too
and then we got Robbie Curtis in the background. He can't stay out of it. He wants it.
The inimitable
He wants
Robbie
to,
Curtis.
He wants to start over. No, we're not starting over. It's going tick-tock, Robbie. Come on, get on with it. My thing is the background kind of layers of the whole industry, the things that nobody else is really looking at. As a kid, I'm like, what does that mean, black and white film? It didn't really mean anything. My father was working when I grew up, working on a 16-millimeter project.
Mm-hmm.
And he regretted working in 16 because it's so treacherous, just editing, and it just doesn't
smaller film.
Yeah, it just doesn't hold up like 35, right?
Yes.
But he worked in 35 with black and white film. Now he's working in Technicolor, and he just loves it. He's filling the frame with color because he understands the difference.
Right.
But he one day he was having a conversation with another filmmaker, and he says, "Well, black and white," and giving a negative kind of vibe about black and white. And my father said, no, wrong. I disagree. I mean, you could be whatever, you could think whatever you want, but in my opinion, this is black and white. There isn't a more beautiful form than black and white, just hands down.
I understand that.
And that's a guy who grew up in it, right? And then he said, and the guy goes, well, the color, it has no color. He goes, Tim, it's got no color. And he goes, yeah, I know. He says, because the color comes out of the characters.
And that's coming from an actor. So
do you see that though?
Yes.
Because you know how fast the black and white goes away once the character becomes the character.
So the black and white is like a canvas almost.
Absolutely.
And the
all
actors
the colors
of the,
coming
of the
out
color.
of the yeah.
And then if you think of film noir, is the use of shadows in the black and white.
Right.
How the shadows were sort of surrounding them.
I look at my dad did really well.
Exactly. You had your dad as a great example.
I can't do worse than him.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I could, but I could at least.
And it's worth saying, your dad was in a couple of Kubrick movies, and
I'm the byproduct of a Stanley Kubrick film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where I met.
Good.
He met my mother on the set of Paths of Glory. Yeah, and that
Classic movie.
the only woman in the film, Paths of Glory. The only woman who sings at the end.
That's Kirk Douglas, right?
Yeah, it's Kirk Douglas, Aldous Manju, McCready. There was a lot of interesting characters in that film. But
So your mom...
Kubrick married the one German in the film, and my dad married my mom, who he met at the hotel.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, they hung out because they were both friends. On occasions, they were both Germans. But and for Hollywood people, they were only married once.
Right,
That's
which is unusual.
Pretty unusual.
So you were born out of Paths of Glory.
That was
A classic film.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't exist if Kubrick weren't around.
No, that's a good story.
That's
a good origin story.
Yeah, he cast him in
the best.
He cast him in The Killing, the Sterling Hayden film, and that was a heist film that Quentin used that as kind of a frame for.
Revolved around a racetrack.
Yeah, it was a heist. It was kind of.
Were they robbing a racetrack?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my dad was supposed to create a diversion by shooting this racehorse.
Great movie.
Yeah,
it's a Kubrick directed.
Yes, oh yeah,
another Kubrick
early film. Yeah, and I interviewed the producer of that film. Who was the producer? The producer was James Harris. Thank you, Robbie.
Robbie Curtis.
Robbie was there. Weren't you there, Robbie?
I was there.
Yeah. So
Robbie's everywhere.
Robbie was really inspirational making these things happen. But documentary-wise, we've covered a lot of territory. But here's a 90-year-old producer who did some of the most epic films on the planet. And he, working with premier director of our day, Stanley Kubrick, and it was like this team. It was Kubrick and Harris, and the guy's still alive and completely in 100% faculty in shape. It's like a walking library.
Now you mean?
Yeah, he says, let me tell you about your dad. He says, after he was in The Killing, we couldn't stop talking about him. He says, all our jokes were about your dad. Everything was about our dad. We used to imitate him. We couldn't wait to bring him to Germany when we got the money to go into Germany. So we went there. For Paths of Glory. Yeah, for Paths of Glory. We went there 3 months early to map everything out, and then we didn't want to be bored, so we brought your dad. And
so cool.
Yeah, and then he says your dad gets there, and he says about after a month he comes to me and he says, hey, I'd like to go home. And he goes, what do you mean you want to go home? We haven't got started yet. You're going to be here 2 more months. We're going to start rehearsal in another month. He just have fun. And he goes, yeah, it's not what I thought it was going to be. He says, what did you think it was going to be? He goes, well, I thought it was going to be like L.A., like there's going to be clubs. And he goes, well, there's clubs. He goes, yeah, but there's no black people.
Oh, boy.
He goes, what do you mean there's no black people? This is Germany. Yeah. My dad used to hang out.
There weren't a lot of
anything. Yeah.
Those days.
Yeah, so he had to hang out. He made up for it later when he staged his own kidnapping during the production.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he didn't like that.
Another story.
He didn't like that the other stars of the film were getting all the press, and he goes, "How do I get press?" So he disappeared. He left a ransom note, and then they had to drag the English Gardens Lake. There's a lake there. I have photos of it. This newspaper. It was an all-out search for a missing body because the note said, we've got this person. If there was a ransom note, if you don't pay this money by this time, we're gonna something. And so there's photos of these guys with these tunnels. Look like these weird funnels that go into the water. You could look underwater. It was a weird kind of device back in the 50s. To search. It was part of a search and rescue thing, thinking like they drowned him in the lake.
Right.
And he shows up like a couple days later, a week later, having stalled the whole production.
Oh my God!
And
so Kubrick was thrilled.
They were pissed, and then they were going to put him back to work because they wanted to get finished with the film, and it made headlines. It was on every paper. It was around the world. The guy got,
international scandal.
My dad was on the front page of everything. He got exactly what he wanted, and he could see it even in the local papers. And he said, went to Kubrick and went to James Harris, and they said, you got to go home because they're charging us for that whole production of them searching for you. The whole search and rescue is going to be on us. And so he had to leave. He had to exit.
So, but he was in Paths of Glory.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
but his role was minimized because of himself.
So, to feed off of what you said and what your background is, I'm currently a member of the Directors Guild of America, first AD. I've been since 1995 working assistant director without any gaps in my work, really, from then till now. And to this point...
Wow, stop for a second. Look at that. 1995 to present day, with no gaps. You were like straight working.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good run.
That is a good run. And I was lucky to get on some long-running shows. I started my career
in 30 years
in the movie business. Yeah, doing mostly movies with Danny DeVito was very good to me early on.
Yeah.
And I did a bunch of movies with him. And, he started a company called Jersey Films. And
Right.
I did several Jersey Films movies, which Pulp Fiction was a Jersey Films movie. I didn't work on it, but Danny did produce that.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, true story, yeah.
Wow.
It was also like a $10 million movie.
Yeah. I
Which,
remember when Quentin called me. He said he had $9 million.
yeah.
Probably added
Which is
later.
which is what is missing from today, and why the industry is collapsing, which we could touch on, is
Right.
that movie, that $10 million movie, is not happening right now.
No.
And that's a big problem. But with Nora winning the Best Picture, maybe that is a good sign.
It is.
But go ahead. I'm sorry. Quentin was saying something about it being a $9 million movie.
Oh yeah. Well, so when he wrote the script, I was working at MGM just down the street, on Washington, which was it's now the Sony. Sony acquired, I think, both lots. Anyway, I'm working at MGM doing stuff in home video, and I had a friend in the reprographics room who actually put in my dad's play. My dad was looking for some characters. This guy was an actor, so I put him in my dad's play. One day Quentin knew somebody in the building, and that person said, "Hey, go give your script, Reservoir Dogs, just let me bring you over to the reprographics guy so he can make copies for you."
Oh, cool.
And so he goes in the reprographics room and he sees a photo of my dad, because the guy in the reprographics room, Gary, put it up on the wall because he really was into my dad. And Quentin says, "What are you doing with that poster on the wall? It's like the only poster of an actor on your wall." And he goes, "Oh, I'm in Timothy Carey's play." "What?" He goes, "Look." He goes, shows on the page, the dedication page, the first page when you open the script. He goes, "Look, number 1, Timothy Carey.
Oh, wow.
These are my inspirations for making this film." And it was all these the last guy on the page was Lawrence Tierney.
Who actually got the
Yeah. And
That's funny.
And he goes, his son works here. He goes, "You're kidding me. I want his dad in my film. I wrote this part for him." The Lawrence Tierney part.
Yes,
was my
you had
dad's
told
part.
me that, yes.
Yeah. And I wasn't in, I was out, but he left me a note, and I caught up with him, and we ended up meeting a couple times, and I told him, what you want to do is you want to send the script to everybody and get letters of intent.
Right.
Find name
back
people.
in those days, sure.
Yeah, so I wrote the first letter of intent.
Uh-huh.
I forged my dad's signature on it, saying, "You want to say that you'd make a good director. I love your film. Once you
Right.
get your financing in line, I'm absolutely down
And
for
you
that
take
part."
it to investors, and
Yeah.
that's worth money if it's the actor's bankable or not.
Yeah, this guy would call me on I had a voice recorder, those old-fashioned ones that are at your house, and he'd fill my recorder up with reading stuff about my dad. He was like just this crazy, cinephile.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then he'd call me, he says, "Bring your dad down. I
That's
got
funny.
the money."
He's so quirky.
He's very quirky.
But then, as the story goes, Lawrence Tierney got the part.
Lawrence-
Your dad
yeah.
didn't want the part. Or
Yeah, it didn't work out.
Just didn't work out.
The way
For
they
the Hollywood
the way
thing.
they cast it, it's just one of those things. But we got a really good call on my dad's voicemail. It was Lawrence Tierney saying,
right, yeah.
"Hey, Tim, these assholes gave me your part."
That's great.
He knew
That
whose
sounds
part
just
it
like
was. Yeah.
But just to say a little more of my background, that's Danny DeVito is sort of a cross reference to that. I worked on a bunch of movies with him and Jersey Films, and I'm still working with him currently on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which we just finished season 17.
17.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
When did that start?
Woof. It wasn't 17 years ago. It's probably 20, more like 20 years ago. So, say,
What a run.
2005 or so.
What a run.
I haven't done the whole thing, but I've
Yeah.
done 12 seasons. And just the last one. So Danny and I have worked together quite a bit. over the years, and we still collaborate on a lot of things. And when he has a script or stories, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But to that point is, to this year I have not worked.
What do you think? What do you think is the most like systemic reason for that?
It goes back a ways.
Right. Can you chart like where you started to see the writing on the wall?
Yeah, I can. I've been thinking about this since this all come up recently. Is what we're talking about is the collapse of the film industry in Hollywood.
It's imploding.
It's imploded. It's completely collapsed at this point.
Well, I knew it back. I don't know how many years ago it was now, but at least close to 10 years when I had in this very studio the son of Ted Sarandos. And
who's the head of Netflix?
Yeah, the meteoric. This thing was just torpedo, and he says, "Hey, you might want to buy stock in Netflix because this thing's exploding."
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, but you talk about a game changer.
Yeah, and that was a big part of it, but that came sort of in the middle. When you ask where the first sign of something was amiss was when I started hearing about productions going to Canada. That was about 20 years ago,
right?
Maybe 20 plus. And what's been termed nowadays as runaway productions.
Right. Now they're going everywhere.
Now they're running everywhere.
Right.
But Canada started it.
Absolutely.
And what was happening was the government of the country started giving incentives to get film and television work there.
Enticing.
Right.
Yeah.
So depending on how much money you spent there, or a studio would spend there, whatever studio, Warner Brothers or a major studio. If they went up to Canada and spent $50 million, they'd give you 10 or 20% back.
It was worth their while.
You would get $10 million back.
Wow. Who's going to give you that in L.A.?
No one.
No one.
And so from there was a rush. With all these studios, the major studios, and we're talking about Warner Brothers and Paramount and Fox and Disney, are run like a corporate. They have a corporate structure. They're trying to make as much money as they can. Like Robbie likes to say, the show part of show business.
Right.
So, in that sense, you say, oh, we want to do this show or this movie for a price. As soon as I heard that term, for a price, that was another sign of trouble. Like, what does that even mean?
Right.
It means you can't shoot it here. It means you have to shoot it in another country, Canada, because the labor costs are cheaper, which is on top of the incentives.
Because you're getting around the unions, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They have unions there, but they get paid less.
Right.
So, that was the first sign of trouble to me.
Right.
But we were still able to keep our decent amount of work here, and the people who were good at their jobs continued to work. I don't want to blow my own horn, but I continued to work.
Right.
So it wasn't like a major thing, but it was a thing that we all raised an eyebrow.
You started to learn to take a back seat from union pay to like independent pay, doing non-union stuff. Is that what you were doing?
I didn't do that, but that came a few years later when New Media started, and then New Media did have a separate contract, which was lesser.
Right.
And I explained this to Robbie a couple of times as part of this implosion of Hollywood. And I'm a union person. I'm, all for the unions. But over the years, and over those 20 years or 30 years or since it started, we've a little bit at a time, like every year the DGA gets a raise, and all the guilds and unions get a raise. And, we've just had these 2 strikes a year and a half ago that shut down the industry, which was another nail in the coffin.
Absolutely.
And the writers were fighting for more money, and the actors were fighting for more money. And when they got their more money, they just gave everyone a raise because we all had to sort of keep up with what they were getting.
Right.
Where we at this point, we're almost pricing ourselves out.
Right.
Because these other countries, especially Europe now, not even Canada anymore, now it's Europe, are paying people less. And our rates were always based on, especially in television, were based on, and I mostly worked on television. After I started working with Danny on movies, I got involved with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I did a show called New Girl at Fox, Single Parents at Fox, Arrested Development at Fox. So I worked at Fox quite a bit. I tried to stay on half-hour comedies, but I did some hour drama too, with like Sons of Anarchy and shows like that. Another Fox show. But our rates were based on network television selling advertising time. And the money and the revenue that they were bringing in was based on selling advertising. And they were able to raise those rates whenever they needed to meet the demands of the raises that the crews were getting and how much it cost the budgets to make these shows.
Right. Provided you were on a hit show.
Yes.
As long as the
So-
ratings kept,
That was uncapped revenue. They
Right,
could
right.
keep charging the advertising. The advertisers would keep paying it.
Right.
Like New Girl never had huge numbers of people watching.
Right.
But what the studio always told us, because we were always worried, well, our ratings aren't good. Are we going to get canceled? And they were like, don't worry about it. We sell your advertising time top dollar.
So that's uncapped? Is that what they call it?
It's uncapped.
Yeah. Wow.
Whereas when streaming started,
Right.
what do we have? We have it's capped.
Right.
The people who have Netflix have Netflix.
Right.
The people who want Netflix
Right.
have it. The people
Right.
who want Disney Plus, they already have it.
Got
It's
it,
not like
yeah.
every year they're adding millions of subscribers. Millions of subscribers already joined.
Right.
They're there. They're not
Exactly.
getting any more money from
Right.
them. You'll have some additions,
Right.
based on their programming, but people go on and off of it now. Their base group of people or subscribers are there.
They've
They're not
already-
making any
yeah.
more money.
Right.
So when we had new media, and again, this is long-winded a bit, but it started 20 years ago. So they all started running to Canada. Then new media started. So we had two different contracts. We could work for cheaper on the streamers.
Right.
And if you worked on network, you got paid more. But then part of the big fights with the unions and all this, there was more strikes than just those two.
Right.
It goes back even further with the writers.
Oh, I remember.
Was always fighting to have one contract. New media was not new media anymore. Netflix was big enough. They're a studio. Amazon's big enough. They're a studio. They should be treated as the studio, as a network,
Right.
basically. So we joined the contracts, and that was another nail in the coffin. So the streamers can't keep up with these rates, so they start farming out these shows to other countries so they can make them
now
for
they
a
have
price.
More, they got more of a justification.
Right.
Because look, we could before
We
maybe.
couldn't make this show here.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to make the show
yeah.
here, it would cost 6 times more.
Yeah.
So the other countries got on the bandwagon now over the years. Right now, Europe is hot. Bulgaria.
Yeah.
England. Rome. Portugal.
Yep.
They all have tax incentives and they
Yep.
all have lower labor costs.
Right.
And they're just...
And everybody wants to go there.
And all the
Yeah.
corporate structure of all these big movies and TV shows are ran off the Hollywood ship like rats.
Oh yeah.
Like rats scurrying up.
You're watching it all. It's
And then our work just disappeared. It dwindled to nothing. And at this point, it's basically nothing.
that's frightening.
Yeah.
So now you have to almost look at what are the prospects of it coming back. It's almost
Well-
like your group of your core group of people that kept you employed. That becomes your hope of
And that becomes smaller.
Right. Oh, of course it
over the
does.
years.
Yeah.
'Cause then people go off and do other things.
Oh,
and-
right. They're done with it. They've
I
had
know
their-
a producer moved to Ireland because he gets more work there.
Right.
He was Irish.
Wow.
So he had Irish descent, so he got a passport. He got himself an Irish passport, and now he's a producer in Ireland.
Wow. He's going to try his luck there.
Yeah, no, he's done well.
Really?
Yes.
He might be going to Ireland.
Or Italy.
Stay connected. Yeah, or Italy. Well, that's what I mean. You have to stay friends with the people that are working. That are really the guys, the producers that are pulling these things together.
But at this point, they're not working. So
Yeah.
on top of it all, so we had the Runaway Productions. Then you had the new media versus network contracts that then joined together. All the raises by, to the unions and the guilds. Then you had the strikes. Then
Right.
first you had the pandemic, which
Right.
wasn't a good
Oh,
thing.
no, that was a
because
killer.
the general process, as you know, as the illustrious teacher that you are, the
Right.
venerable,
Yeah.
is when you're working on a production, you're like this with the person and
Absolutely.
the crew.
Yeah.
And there's
Oh,
60
yeah.
people
Yeah,
leaning over
yeah.
a monitor
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that. Which COVID banned, basically.
Oh,
we had to
yeah.
stay 5 feet apart from each
Right,
other
yeah.
trying to do that.
That's insane.
And we went through a year of that where we're masks and helmets
Right.
and all this crazy equipment. And I would
Shields.
have people on the set. and I'm the first AD, if you don't know, sort of runs the set, and I make the schedule. And, I see the schedule through, and I make sure everybody's on time, and we're shooting this scene then, and this scene has to be done by this time. We do the next scene that time, all that. I literally would have someone standing behind me saying, "You're a little too close to that person. I'm sorry, this is only 3 feet. You need to be 5 feet."
Wow.
And this is like every 10 minutes. So aside from that annoyance, there was also less work.
Right. Absolutely. Because they couldn't get insured. They couldn't. There was a lot going on that really prevented it. Yeah. That was a dark time.
It was definitely, so coming from the less work for shows going to other countries. Then we got hit with the pandemic. And then after the pandemic, there was a sort of a little avalanche of work.
Right.
It was like fool's gold almost.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, we're coming back. Because
the streamers then were new. Netflix was already out there, but like Disney Channel was jumping in, Paramount Channel was jumping in, Peacock was jumping in. So there was a little bit of avalanche of work, which we were like, oh, okay, this is great. We're going to be back. This is going to work out. And then the strikes.
Yeah.
Then the strikes hit, and then.
It all comes to a screeching halt.
And the actors and the writers thought they, won a historic victory on their contract. And then most of them never worked again, which was the next part of that. And then after, the strikes got settled, we started hearing about Hollywood Retraction. And that was the next kind of evil
the other shoe dropping.
Yes. And Hollywood Retraction meant we're just going to make less shows.
Right. We're just you
want
outsourcing.
More money? Yeah. And then we're going to make less shows, and the shows we're going to make are going to leave town.
Wow, that's frightening.
But again, I was able still to carry on.
Right.
And last year, even through last year, I had 2 shows that did fairly well. A show for Amazon called On Call, which is a Dick Wolf produced show and written by his son Elliot Wolf. We had a lot of potential, and it came out on Amazon. It was #1 on their top 10 Amazon shows for over 2 months.
Wow!
And great word of mouth, and everybody loved the show. And Amazon decided they didn't want to do a season 2. Or they would do a season 2, but for $750,000 less per episode than what we did season 1 for. I'm like, well, that's not the same show then.
Right. Wow.
And Dick Wolf wouldn't have it. So that show is now being shopped around to other streamers, which is another death sentence.
Right. Yeah.
Once you start shopping a show around, it might get picked up somewhere else, but it usually doesn't happen quickly.
No. Yeah, that's going to be in committee for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my other show was Mr. Throwback, which was a Peacock show with starring Stephen Curry, basketball player.
Yeah.
Which did well. It aired right after the Olympics, and Stephen did really well in the Olympics, and people watched the show. And I got great residual checks from it, but they officially canceled it like a month ago.
Why would they cancel a show like that?
And Stephen wanted to do it again.
Yeah, why would they cancel? That's like a hit show.
It's new. I call it New Hollywood. New Hollywood wants to cut your budget, and they don't. They just. I don't know. I can't answer that.
It's like a one. It's like a one-off. But
it didn't have to be, and they have a marketable star.
That's what I mean. Who doesn't run with that?
Right?
Or somebody step in and say, "Hey,
I'll take it." The letters of intent back in the old days.
Right.
That's worth money.
Oh yeah,
so you get Stefan. I'm sorry, saying Stefan. He likes to be called Stefan. Signing a piece of paper saying, "I'll do season 2." That's worth money, isn't it?
100%.
But Peacock is a capped revenue stream,
right?
And they're just making less shows.
I guess we can't complain. They're the ones that stepped up to make it. You know what I mean?
So it's double-edged for sure.
The good thing is. They know that he can carry he can carry a project.
And he was actually great, and he was really funny, and you should check out Mr. Throwback on Peacock. It's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's directed by David Wayne, who's a very funny comedy director.
Yeah. Wow. And where was that shot?
We shot that mostly all in Chicago.
Oh, wow. How'd you like being in Chicago?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I like the film industry there, the film community there. There's a lot of hardworking people there. They're actually a good amount of work because they have the 3 Dick Wolf shows,
Right.
which is Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and Chicago
That's
Fire.
right, yeah.
So they have those 3 sort of hit shows there. So
Right.
they have a good amount of film community there.
Yeah.
Also, The Bear was shot there.
Did you run into winter there?
Yes, a little bit.
How was
The
that?
end of winter.
Yeah.
It was cold and windy.
Yeah. It's the coldest place I'd ever
The
been.
Windy City for
Yeah.
nothing. It
Oh,
really
yeah.
was.
Chicago.
I sent Rocco, my son, a couple of videos of me just standing outside with
Yeah.
my hat blowing
Yeah.
off, my scarf. And I said to him, they don't call it the Windy City for nothing.
No. Did you run into any?
But then I was also there for spring and summer, which were really nice.
Oh, then you get to see the full
Yeah.
the full season.
I mean, they have a beach that's like in the middle of the city.
Wow.
So there's buildings all around. You're sitting in the sand.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That is amazing. What was it like to work with Steph?
Steph, so when you asked where did we shoot, we shot mostly in Chicago, and then we had to go to shoot Steph on his own.
Right.
Because he was playing basketball, and as soon as his season ended last year, we thought he might come to Chicago, and we were preparing for that.
Yeah.
But then at the last minute, he's like, "Can you guys come to San Francisco?" And that's where he lives.
Right.
And of course, NBC was like, "Yes, well, absolutely." And we had shot the show in a way. It's a 8-episode show,
Right.
Or 6 episodes. I'm sorry, 6-episode show. So we just isolated all the scenes that he was in, and we put them to the side. And that was my job, is sort of put this puzzle together.
Right.
And then we recreated whatever we did in Chicago inserted him into these scenes that we shot in
Right.
in San Francisco.
They're all interiors anyway.
Interiors
right?
and
Yeah.
scenes that there was some scenes that it was all him, so we didn't have to piece it together.
Right.
He's the king of San Francisco. He walks around like
I can imagine.
you know, like Yul Brynner
Yeah,
and
Muhammad
The King
Ali.
and I.
Right, yeah.
People are like bowing
Yeah.
down to him, and he's the nicest guy in the world. He really is, and all his people are first class.
Yeah.
Really,
Wow.
and funny. He
Yeah.
actually turned out to be funny and
Wow.
a good actor.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Well, I can see that. I mean, to be a really good basketball player, I think you're acting all the time.
Yeah, true. It's part of it.
It's like performances.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And everything, like you as a teacher. you
Right.
know.
Oh, it's all a performance. Everything is. We're performing right now, Michael. It's
And even me on
yeah.
set, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it is. You got to play the role of
I-
assistant director.
You do, especially as the first AD. It's like you have to be a little bit like of the wild
You gotta,
card.
you got to get
People
their
have
attention.
to be like,
got to be
not sure
unsure
what he's going to do next.
No, exactly. I know.
I know.
I know.
I've-
You're the bulldog for the director. You're the one
and the
that-
producers.
and the producers. You don't have a good AD. You're
I
going to go off
agree.
the deep end. I remember once, just to touch on how important an assistant director is, especially to union people. You couldn't they wouldn't attempt to do anything without an assistant
No.
director. It's like, what? That's like a hole in your plane.
well, the other side of that is some people think you don't need it. Like,
Right.
oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'll just do it.
Right.
You know, like
Well,
a producer will say, oh, I'll be the AD.
I
and
brought
that's
it-
always the kiss of death.
I brought a union. I brought in a union. I'd work on something commercial. It was all stacked with the whole crew. And then I called him. Like, this guy would be a good camera guy to put on a shoot. And it was just part of a scene for a music video. And it was this mob I put together, and a limo pulling up, and Lawrence Tierney is there.
Awesome.
And our friend Robert Bird, Dino Lee is there. He pulls up in a limo, and there's a scene in the restaurant. There's a scene outside, and it's supposed to be a mob scene. And the cinematographer shows up. We're shooting in 35, and he goes, "Where's the assistant director?" I go, "I'm it. I'm the director. I'm just me and you." He goes, "Are you kidding me?"
Doesn't work that
It's like, he goes, "Are you kidding me?" I go, "No, I'm not kidding. You're gonna be fine." And he was like so confused by everything. I'll call this. You'll know everything. And then went a little longer than I thought it would, because these things do. And he sends me an email saying, "Hey, thank you for the work, but the next time you have a shoot, make sure there's an AD there."
The reason for that is it's much like a military operation
Right.
it comes down to, and there needs to be a chain of command.
Oh yeah.
You know, where the director is the general,
Right. Yeah.
but there needs to be the
yeah.
you say, the sergeant who's
Yeah.
pushing everybody and making it happen. And over the years, I learned how to do that in a nice way
Right.
and a friendly way. but also in an aggressive way.
Absolutely.
And,
they got to know you mean business.
right.
Yeah.
And to be the wild card. And you play that, I have to play that role. Like,
Right.
In the old days, the ADs used to be known as, the screamers.
Oh, yeah.
And they were
The
like
barkers.
the worst people in the world. And I learned from those people. And I remember sitting on the set as a PA being like, I don't want to be that person.
No. Only long enough to get the job to show you could do that.
Right.
Until I gonna.
And the business did evolve away from that.
Right.
It did.
Oh, yeah.
It did. It then started looking for more people who could. For what I try to do, and I tell producers in a interview situation, is I'll try to create an atmosphere for the actors and the filmmakers
Right.
of comfort and fun, and not everybody screaming and being in fear of each
Right.
other. It's more of a.
It's a community.
like
we're all going to get along, and
communal.
you can set the tone because you're the one.
Exactly.
You're the biggest, most active player on the set, and you're going to be touching more people. And that director's busy doing what he's doing. Everybody's
Right.
got their own thing.
Because you're the voice of the set.
You're really
as
the
the first-
producer too.
It's true.
Yeah.
I think assistant director really doesn't capture the job. It sort of makes it sound like
Yeah,
I'm getting like they're getting water or something.
right.
But you're the voice.
Yeah.
So you're saying you're the last word anybody hears. And most of the time the director will ask me to say action and cut. They don't even want to have to bother with that.
Wow, really?
So it's like you're rolling. You're saying get ready. You're ready. You're ready. You're ready. Actors are ready. Cameras ready. Props are ready. Okay. Roll the cameras. That's the first AD. And then I would say 60% of the time, I point at the director like, okay, you go. And they say action.
Right.
But usually it's like they're
Right.
looking at their script or their
Yeah,
sides. Like,
exactly.
And I point at them like,
Yeah.
action.
Yeah, right. They're trying to. They don't want
Right.
to miss anything. They're busy.
Right. So if I see that happening, I'll just say, just let me say action. This is the thing.
You could be doing more
doesn't-
work, yeah.
It's just a
Smart.
formality.
You imagine how much pressure it is for a director. You could see it. He's got to get all this material out. He's got this much time, and he's got to like move those pages. He's got to
Yeah.
like get through it.
And for students listening to this, that's what you find. I mean, we all go to film school, or people who are in film school who might be listening. We all go there to become directors, right?
Right.
We all think we're getting out of the directors.
Absolutely.
But the reality of it is, most of you are not. But it's not to say you're not filmmakers.
Right.
So you can become the sound person, or you can become the editor, or you become the first AD. It's all very specialized.
Oh yeah. I mean, and
And
nobody.
you're all filmmakers.
Yeah, everybody likes sitting at the end of the movies and reading the credits. They're not just reading the producer and the director. They want to
Right.
read everybody who did something in it.
Right. And I feel like that's something that film school is missing, really, is the reality of filmmaking.
Oh yeah.
Sort of the Hollywood Unreel aspect.
Well, yeah. I mean,
like the behind the scenes.
Oh,
behind the scenes.
Absolutely. I mean, imagine us going to film school today and what
We know now.
What we know now.
Yeah.
I mean, and
It would be an incredibly different experience.
100%. Yeah, it would be much different. And today, I mean,
I'd be much more organized.
yeah. Well, imagine how much easier it became.
There was such a beauty to it, though, the naivete of it. Like, I told Rocco, because we just worked with one of your students, Jason Mabam, on his movie.
Yeah.
And, we were shooting in front of someone's house in the middle of the night, and the neighbor came out, and I was like, just tell him it's a student film.
Right, exactly.
You have so much, it gives you so much license just to say
no doubt.
student film.
Right.
And then people are like, oh, okay. Like, if I went there with you to try to shoot,
right.
they'd look at us and call the police.
Right. If you have a permit. Yeah.
And I told Rocco back in the Miami days, I showed up at Greyhound bus station to shoot a scene for my student film. No permit, nothing. We had a camera, a couple of actors, a couple of 6-10 people, and we just set up right in front of all the buses were lined up, and we set up in front of them. And I had my actor. I said, just walk away from the bus with your briefcase, and you don't have to get on. And all of a sudden, the police showed up, and they're like, well, who are you? And I'm like, oh, we're student film, University of Miami. Like, oh, okay. Do you have a permit? I'm like, and in the back of my mind, I kind of knew we needed a permit, but we're student film, playing dumb. I was like, no, we need a permit? Like, yeah, you got to have a permit. And then all of a sudden, I guess the person who called the police, like the supervisor of the bus station came out, Greyhound, I remember.
Yeah.
And he's like, what is this? And the cop said, this is student film. I mean, well, I'll get them out of here. And the guy was like, no. Where are you from? And it was like University of Miami. He's like, no, it's okay. Let him stay. And the cop's like, all right, next time you make sure you get a permit. And then the guy couldn't have been nicer. He let us go on the bus. He let my actor go on the bus.
Oh, wow.
He changed my actor was supposed to be coming to Miami from, like, I forget, Mississippi or something. And he changed the bus to say Mississippi. And he ended up being very helpful.
Wow, that's awesome.
But, so you miss that sort of from film school, that sort of license to do anything.
Yeah.
But I think they could do, or there should be more of the reality of what you're getting into.
Right. No, there is.
I think that is missing.
Yeah, it's. I have one of those stories too. Is we were shooting a scene. It was Lawrence Tierney's last movie. It's called Wannabe, and the scene is with Danny Trejo, and Danny Trejo has a bat, and he goes after somebody he was chasing, and it's in front of a taco shop on a main drag, and I'm like, this will work. It's in El Monte, and it's like not what's gonna happen. We set it up, very very little lighting, and we started the scene. It was just around dusk, and we get through the scene, but not complete it, and the fire department shows up. Sirens blaring, and I'm like, oh no. I could hear him coming because it wasn't far away where the department was, and a guy pulls up, and I'm still rolling because I shot the movie, but I was also shooting behind the scenes.
Right, might as well. So, maybe you get something.
And he says, all right, who's the knucklehead who set this up? Oh, you're speaking to him.
He got like half away.
He goes, what's going on here? And I goes, we're just shooting a scene. And he goes, phone's ringing off the hook. Everybody thinks someone's getting killed here. It would have been nice if you just called the fire department and said, hey, we're going to be shooting this thing down the block here. It's not anything to worry about. So at least we would have known.
Right.
And then they saw Danny Trejo, and they just started asking for autographs. Everybody behaved. It was pretty
It's funny.
nice.
I remember when Danny Trejo was a background actor because he had done a time in prison,
right.
And then became an actor. And I remember every time that we did a prison scene, he was on the central casting call,
right?
Because he's the perfect.
Oh, exactly.
Prisoner. And he wasn't an accomplished actor at that point.
Right.
I think I had him in the movie Ghost, and maybe the movie Out of Towners with Steve Martin.
Oh, wow.
And Goldie
yeah.
Hawn.
That's what got him his part. Too.
Yes.
That's what got him a talking part.
From being background.
He had boxed, and they brought him into the box in one of those films. Yeah. And
because I got to know Danny back then. I don't know him now really, but back then, because I would see him on all these extras calls,
right.
And I was the second AD at that time, so I was the person checking you in and checking you out. Hey,
right.
Danny,
right?
Yeah, always a great guy.
We can go walk into his donut shop. He's probably there right now.
Yeah, I'd see him. He also has a taco place.
Yeah,
not too far from there.
Too. Yeah, Coppola said it too. Coppola said it's a new day. Because of an iPhone, because of the access to the equipment that people have today, that there's no excuse to make your film.
It's true.
And true. Your film is Cassavetes too. One of my father's best friends was really inspiring. He said, "Say what you are when it comes to writing a script, making anything that you want to make. Say what you are, not what you want to be, not what you have to be.
Right.
Just say what you are, and what you are is good enough." He would really massage stuff. My dad did the same thing. He would start out with a really big, almost novel, and then he'd turn it into a stage play, and then they'd do the stage play, and then by the time it was done, he had such an understanding of what he developed and all these characters and how he was going to play it, that now he can go make the movie.
Now we shoot it. Nobody would do that.
Well, you'd be surprised.
We need more of that today.
Yeah, you do. Well, it's all.
That's what's going to save Hollywood.
Well, absolutely. It's all predicated on someone introducing it. Actors will do whatever you ask them to do.
True.
You just gotta walk them through it. But that's the doing is the most important part. Just go and do it.
And I agree. I mean, I don't know if you know the history of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The three actors are the creators of the show. And 20 plus years ago, they decided they were young actors, moved to L.A., Charlie Day, Rob McElhenney, and Glenn Howerton, all from different backgrounds in different places. I think they met in New York. Rob's from Philly. Charlie's from Massachusetts, and Glenn was from Oklahoma. So they all met in New York, and they're like, they couldn't get parts, so let's just make our own show.
Wow.
And they bought a camera at Best Buy or whatever electronics store, and they shot a pilot. And it was funny because they're all talented and funny guys. And 20 plus years later, they're doing season 17 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And people ask me, like, how did they do it? We want to do this. How did they do it? I'm like, first of all, you have to be them.
Right.
And that's what I say about Cassavetes. Like, first of all, you have to be that talented.
Right.
And then, not to shoot anyone down, then you have to have the balls or the wherewithal to do it.
Absolutely.
And to get it done. And that's what you're talking about. Like, getting it done, you could talk about it all day. And like we talked about this podcast forever.
Yeah.
But to actually come here and shoot this today, as a pilot episode,
right.
It took a lot.
Part of it always is you have to come up with the idea, right? Once you come up with the idea, that's the birthplace of what I want to do.
And money stands in the way a little bit too,
Yeah,
with the equipment.
It does to some degree, but once you've conquered that little aspect, even if it's a credit card, if you're really inspired to do something, then you transfer it to some kind of, even if it's just a shot list.
Right.
And then you have to do whatever it takes.
It's the next step of doing it, yes. And then the next step, and then the next step, you're moving the ball forward.
There's really no failure. You can aim for the stars and end up on the moon. The idea is really persistence of your vision.
But that's what this is about. Talking about people like that, talking about, what's behind the scenes, and
right.
The nuts and bolts of putting it all together from an idea to people who are actually working in the business, and how this sort of Hollywood nightmare that's going on right now is affecting people.
Right.
People who made lives and careers in this business for 30 years, or even less. 15,
what's your
losing their houses and their whole lives.
What's your gut kind of vision on where it's going?
And that idea of a federal and a state tax incentive,
right,
is what we need.
Wow.
I'll probably be retired by the time it all comes together.
These are all slow moving. I'm glad to hear they're actually moving in a direction where
finally.
Finally.
After 20 years.
Well, because everybody needs hope. There's too many people at the end of the line here that hanging, waiting for.
And I say, I haven't worked since December of last year. I know people haven't worked for years.
Right.
They're going back to the pandemic. They'll say, "Oh, I've worked on 3 shows in the last 5 years." That's it's less than a year of work altogether.
Yeah, you can be Uber driving,
that's what's happening.
Yeah.
They're leaving the business. They're losing their houses. They've lost their cars.
All those guys that were making all that money are now destined for the gig economy.
And it was like they were handing out money for a while.
Yeah,
they're giving out money down there. People were just showing up.
Right.
And now there's nothing.
Wow.
I mean, the cutbacks have been unreal. I have a very good friend who's a cinematographer on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He was working as the DP on a show called Matlock, and they had 2 DPs, which is common because you do alternating episodes. There's 2 first ADs, there's 2 DPs, and 2 of those 2 positions especially, because we prep the episodes before alternating. They happen. We need about a week of prep to shoot an episode, and we're on a sort of a season, network television season deadline.
Right.
And they went a full season with the 2 DPs, and the show was a hit. And then they come back for season 2. We're coming back, and they said to them, "You know what? We're going to do 1 DP this year." I'm like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, we're downsizing. So he lost his job.
Wow.
And hopefully we'll have him in and come talk to us at some
point.
But that's happened all around the industry.
That's an example of that's like.
And even with my show On Call, where it's like, "Oh yeah, we want to do your show again, season 2. We'd love to." Amazon saying, and then but we want to do it for $750,000 less per episode.
Right.
Well, wait a minute, that's not wanting to do the show.
No.
So
That's-
again, the new Hollywood contraction all around of
Right.
everything.
Wow.
And that's, so hopefully these new ideas that our governor has and our president has, and, hopefully, we could keep politics out of it, and, the whole film community could come together and figure this out, because a lot of people are hurting.
Right. Yeah.
It's really sad, because, it's something that, and you said it, you touched on it before, you can't do this job and go through what you have to go through to do it for 30 years, however many years.
Right.
And work 12, 14, 16, 18 hours
whatever
a day.
it takes.
I think there was one, my record for work was 26 hours.
Yeah. Oh, golden hours.
Yeah.
That's some serious
Like
golden.
we worked,
yeah.
I mean, you can't do this anymore. We worked all the way from the morning call all the way through the night.
Oh my God.
I think we had like a 9 a.m. call. We worked until noon the next day.
Yeah. Wow.
That was a
Seeing
movie
pink-
called The Crossing Guard.
Really?
Yeah.
Seeing pink
It
elephants.
was directed by Sean Penn. Jack Nicholson was in it.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, big lunatics. But you know what? That was the indie film days.
Oh, exactly.
It's totally dangerous.
Well, totally
They never
dangerous.
let us do it again.
Right. It's kind of whatever it takes, and these guys don't even know. They're learning as they go.
But we shot 26 hours of it.
That's incredible.
Insane.
Yeah.
And then as a PA or an AD or the production people have to work in the longer hours. People, most people when we're done, they put the grips and electric have to put their stuff away in camera.
Right.
But they get out of their way before we do.
Wow.
So to do it, you have to love it, and you have to have a passion for it.
Right.
And to have that passion and give your life, which I feel like I've handed my life over to this industry. And now in the later years where I should be taking a victory lap,
Right.
and people should be shaking my hands. And if I was in another business, here's a rant, Robbie.
Yeah.
They would be giving me a gold watch for
Right.
goodness sakes.
100%.
And saying, wow.
Wait, didn't you get an award recently? What was it?
It
What
was the
show?
DGA award. We got nominated for
Yeah.
a show called American Born Chinese.
Oh,
But
wow.
just for getting nominated, you get a little
Right.
trophy. So it
Yeah.
was nice from the DGA. But
Yeah.
we didn't win.
Right. You got nominated. That's right.
But it was
Yeah,
recognized.
right.
And Rocco and I went to the ceremony.
That's awesome.
And they gave us a
Yeah.
little director's chair trophy.
That's very
It
cool.
was really. It was actually something that I had never been on a show as nominated before.
Yeah.
So it was. But getting back to it is like, people should be like congratulating me, and like I said, oh, here's your gold watch for 30 years of hard work and putting all that time in and being so passionate and diligent about your job. And what I'm getting right now is a kick in the ass.
Right.
Like, you know what? We're gonna hire a woman, and number one, number two, there's just no work anymore anyway.
Yeah, you might-
and number three, just get out of here.
Go find some other work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here I
Well,
am with you.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's why we're doing a podcast, because you're reinventing yourself while you're waiting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this is just we've just scratched the surface.
I think so.
This is kind of an avalanche where you've just seen a couple of the rocks fall,
Mm-hmm.
and that especially, you throw a rock in any direction, you're going to hit a Hollywood person. We're in
It's
Hollywood.
true.
It's just they're everywhere.
And that's what I say. LA it's not just LA, and it's not just California. It's all built, this industry built this state
Right.
and this city.
Yeah. And so we're going to bring this episode to a close. This is episode 1.
Pilot.
This was the pilot. This was recorded on May 6th, 2025.
At Beverly Hills High School,
That's right.
I might add, which I'm very happy to be here at.
And
Thank
we've
you.
got Rocco Risoli running the director's seat over there. We got
Thank you, Rocco.
Robbie Curtis producing.
The vulnerable one.
And that a crew of
Venerable.
and it takes a crew to put these things together.
Sure, always.
And I think we're gonna have fun.
I do too, and then we'll bring some other people in. When we get people on the phone or on a Zoom.
Oh,
or,
right.
Or get some people to show up
Yeah,
here.
we could always bring him
And-
in phone wise too. Just have him
Yeah.
on a phone, have a
Yeah,
conversation,
throw,
put his
throw
Zoom
their picture up there
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to some people who are behind the scenes, and they're not celebrities.
No.
Maybe we'll get there someday, but maybe like a DP or a prop person or a craft service person or a PA or
Right.
an AD, a second AD. Those are the people I want to talk to.
Right.
See how they're doing and how they're getting
absolutely.
through this.
Well, it'd be interesting because they have their own stories.
And that's the other side of it. We don't want to be doom and gloom either, you know?
No. We know that. At least, I mean, you've had such a long run that you don't know what it's like not to.
I know.
You know, and that's part of it. I think is reinvention too.
It is.
You know, you become like, okay,
definitely.
that's the thing I've always wanted to write, and we'll talk about that next episode.
Yes.
That these things are catalysts for, you know, kind of like the class you thought you were going to take to become this thing,
Right.
And now you got to like all of a sudden.
It's like going to film school and thinking you're going to be a director.
right.
And you come out and you're a sound guy, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's a career. So, and I have plenty of friends who are sound mixers who would, interesting. The most interesting people I think I've met are some of in this industry are sound mixers because they sit back, they hear everything and that's going on. Actors, everybody talking, they're hearing everything.
Oh, yeah.
The actors always have the laughs.
Right.
And they just sit back and they have the stories.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? They have the stories.
They've got story. Yeah, they're the ones that are listening to everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully we're going to get some people in. We'll talk to them. And everybody has their, you know, what's always a good place to start, and we did, was start with an origin story. Like, how'd you get started?
Right.
It's always the best first question. And 85% of the time, it's super interesting.
Right.
Yeah. It's like somebody just fell in. Oh, I ran into, you know, I have one producer friend who, you know, I asked him about it, you know, just in talking, because it is something I'm always interested in. I was like, how did you get started? I was a DGA trainee on Wonder Woman, and I had to get Linda Carter lunch. And then he tells this great story of, you know, how he'd come into her dressing room with her lunch, and you know, she'd be like putting the Wonder Woman outfit on.
That's all he needed to see. The rest is history.
And now he's just like, he's even older than me. This is 40 years later.
It's a thing that once you know that it's kind of when you're bitten by the bug.
Yes.
The bug has so many layers.
It's true.
You never know where you're going to go with it, but it's kind of, you know, I was shooting something at the Kodak Theater, and it was an awards ceremony, and I was doing the behind the scenes, and who's pacing back and forth? Sidney Poitier. And he's talking to somebody, and I'm overhearing him. I couldn't shoot him because I had to wait till he went on stage, but I'm listening to him, and the guy goes, "You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine." And he said, "You're gonna be fine. Take it easy." And he's like, "I'm so nervous." I'm like, "What? Why is he so nervous?
Poitier.
How did this guy be nervous?" He's like,
Academy Award winning actor.
And it's kind of like, and a lot of people are nervous, and they've done it so many times. But the nerves are the fact that you're only as good as your last performance, as my dad used to say.
True.
And the nerves aren't nerves. That means you're living large. And when you're living large, you better have some nerves going off because you're using the whole cow. Everything's on fire, and that you're about to burst.
Yep.
And that's living life at its edges as far as you can stretch.
It's true.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That kind of nervousness is what they live for.
Mm-hmm. It's what keeps them coming back.
100%.
That's like their drug.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like their
love. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you for episode 2.
Yes.
Carrying up where we left off on
Hollywood Unreal.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Hollywood Unreal Season 1 was directed and produced by Rocco Risoli. Technical producer and editor, Zach Asson. Executive producer, Robbie Curtis. Hosted by Romeo Carey, Michael Risoli, and featuring Michael Keogh. Hollywood Unreal Season 1 was filmed and recorded in Beverly Hills, California. Full episodes that include photos and graphics can be seen on the Hollywood Unreal YouTube channel. We also plan to add other content to the channel, so please like and subscribe. You can listen to Hollywood Unreal on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and most other podcast platforms. If you would like to connect with us, or if you're in the business and want to offer yourself up as a guest, please email us at hollywoodunreal@gmail.com. Also, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Remember, to us, Hollywood's Unreel is spelled UNREEL. Keep it unreal out there, folks. Catch you next time.